Thank you so much for checking out the lesson. I want to give a special thank you to Jordan, who requested this one. It really pushed me and was an awesome challenge. So thank you so much. I always want to do this stuff you guys want to see lessons on. So as always, leave your requests. You can email me at Grateful Dead Guitar Lessons or just leave a comment down below and I look at them all and really appreciate it. So let's get into it here. Jerry was playing so fast that I decided to break this into smaller sections than I normally do. I've got 10 kind of smaller sections for you guys. Let's get into the first one. It's going to be mostly D major bass, but Jerry does hit some stuff that kind of makes it feel a little Mixolydian, but only a little tiny bit. By and large, it's D major based. So here we go. Here's the first section. Okay, so you can picture like a G shape of a D chord. We're starting on the major third, and we're going to play this first little bit. And that's kind of on a pickup. He really starts on the second beat of the measure. So in 3/4, you would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then 1 and 2 and 3, and then he slides down, back up. That slide down like that is a great way to kind of create tension and release. It's a little anchor slide kind of move. Moving on from there, Jerry's going to hit the 5th of the D chord, that's the note A, and then he hits like a little minor blues thing. So let me play this section and then we'll get into it. That part's so cool. Okay, so let's get into that first little bit. We start on the 5th, hit the minor third to the major third, then he walks up chromatically from the 5th, minor 6 to major 6. So that little line, really cool already. Then we're going to hit the note D, which is our root, and then this little anchor slide move again. And I love that he does those two 9th fret notes. That's an E going to a B. Just a really creative way to do that line. So again here. Next up, we're going to go back to D. We're going to play D, E, D, E twice. Up to the major third. And then so the last two measures are the next couple measures, the last little bit of this second section are going to go like this. That gets us into the third section, which is going to start on the note A, but it's going to be on the 10th fret of D this time. Let me play it first. Okay, so again, we start on the A, and he does another really cool weaving pattern. So he goes from an A to a B, then down to a G, back to A, back to B, back to G. Okay, here's the part I was mentioning has a little bit of a Mixolydian sound. We go back to the 10th fret of the B string, that's the note A, but we go like this. So that C against the D gives it like that mixo sound. So we're going to go. Moving on, go down to the major third, that's the 7th fret of B. And this is a really subtle thing he does in that very last measure where he goes 8th fret to 9th fret. He's skipping over a scale tone, and it's just the littlest thing, but instead of, we're kind of used to this relationship like that between these two notes, G to F sharp or F sharp to G, but he skips it and goes right to the E. Just a really cool little thing. And then back to the more familiar, gets us into the 4th section. And this is the part where Bob Weir starts singing, and we're really into the verse. Everything else to this point has been a D major vamp. Now I'm going to talk you through the chord changes as they happen, because Jerry's going to kind of play to some of the chord tones as they come along. So we're going to start on the note D, and I'll play this section. This will be a little longer because it gets into a little kind of a slower pace at one point. I'll play it and then talk you through it. There's a few measures of rest. Then he's going to go up to the 7th fret. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And then we get into another part. So, okay, like I said, the first part of this, the rest of the band is still playing a D major. So we're going to start on the note D. By the time we get to this G that I just hit on the 5th fret of the D string, now everybody is playing a G chord. And then he kind of plays that G note again. But he ends up going to the 7th fret. That's the note A, and it makes sense because the rest of the band is playing an A at that point. Then he hits the major 3rd, which is C sharp of the A chord. Then this little line that leads us back to the tonic. We've got D there on the 5th fret of A. Then we go to the 5th of that chord, back to the root, and then this kind of like little turnaround thing, and he goes. The thing I love the most of that part right there is I would expect that turnaround to go. That's more of like a typical thing, but what Jerry does is he throws in this C natural. He goes and then slides up to the D after that. Really cool. Just a little tiny thing that adds a little extra kind of vibe. Then after that, we're going to hit the note A up on the 7th fret of D. And he's kind of muting there. And then that gets us into the next section. By the time he's hitting that A that I was just talking about, the rest of the band is playing the chord A. Okay, now that gets us into the 5th section, which is really cool. This is when he starts to kind of kick up his playing a little more. I'm going to play this part and then talk you through it. It starts with a rest on 1. So it'll go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and... So we're going to start on the minor 3rd of D, which is really cool. So like a major blues sound. Here's that minor 6 we did a little while ago. So a lot of weaving back and forth, throwing in tension and release notes, like that minor 3rd in there going to the major 3rd, the minor 6 going to the major 6. It's really cool stuff. Here's the next section. This is section 6. We're going to be on F sharp to start this part. Okay, now, think of that D chord happening. We're playing the major 3rd of it. Now right at that point where I just hit the 7th fret going to the 9th fret, the rest of the band is going to a G major chord, and it makes sense because we're going from an A to a B. B is the major 3rd of a G chord, so it all kind of clicks and makes sense. Then he moves down, and And that kind of feels like he's switching into almost like more of a G major pentatonic, again with that tension note that he was throwing in earlier against the D chord. That's the end of section 6. So now I'm going to get into the 7th section and then talk you through it. So we start with a rest on 1. We come in on the and of 1. 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so remember that before I started this section, we were on G a second ago. Now as we start this part, the rest of the band is playing an A major chord. And it makes sense because we're going to slide up and kind of surround the note A, which is on the 7th fret of the D string. And then this really cool kind of pickup line. And that was still over the A. And then as we go to the 7th fret of the D string, now the rest of the band is back on the chord D. We're going to pick up on the 8th section on F sharp, the major 3rd. That part's really cool. So this starts out with kind of a major pentatonic kind of vibe. But a lot of that weaving. And it's so musical and melodic the way he's using these really simple little motifs. Now this next thing is really cool. He hits a really tense note. I think I need to count through that so you get a sense of the timing though. So I'm going to go from that 7th fret. Here's the count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. So you get this offbeat syncopation. I'm going to play the whole 8th section but count it this time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. And that leads us right into section 9. And we're going to have kind of a familiar thing where we're going from the major 3rd to the 4th. So here it is. Okay, so like I said, the major 3rd to the 4th, back to the major 3rd, kicks it off. More of that weaving he's been doing, and then even more of it. There's a rest on beat 1 for this next little piece, and we come in on the and of 1. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then we just hold that for a minute. That gets us to the last 10th section. So I'll play it first and then talk you through it. 1 and... Okay, so we're bending from the 9th here up to the major 3rd, but we barely hear the 9th. We really kind of don't. We just bend right up to it. And if we were playing like a B minor, that would be a really classic kind of bluesy kind of lick, but we're still in a D major, but of course B minor is the relative minor, so it makes sense. But from that bend, we bend down. Then if you can still picture that D chord, he's going to go. That is such a cool line. Jerry is obviously, he's a master of many, many things, but the weaving that he's doing in this solo is so cool. Then we end it with a D major pentatonic kind of pattern, kind of like the one we did here, but we're going to be an octave lower now on the 9th fret of G. That's an E. So the same note we bent from a second ago. And it's leading us to the chord change, which is going to go to a G. And that's where we get into kind of the chorus of it. And that's where I'm going to cap off this, this lead lesson. But here's that last lick again. And it's just a really beautiful way to lead into the chord change and kind of voice lead into it from the F sharp to the G. Thanks for sticking around with me. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks again to Jordan for the suggestion. Like I said earlier, if you have stuff you want me to do a lesson on, a solo, a riff, a chord change, whatever it is, leave it down below or email me, gratefuldeadguitarlessons@gmail.com, and I'd love to do a lesson on that. I want this to be kind of viewer's choice, so I really appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Thanks.